My billionaire father showed me how billionaires use other people's money to build wealth. The first time my father told me that the richest people in the world rarely use their own money to become richer, I thought he was admitting to a crime. I was 16. He smiled, leaned back in his chair, and said, "One day, you'll understand the difference between using people and using money that people willingly invest." That single sentence changed the course of my life. Growing up, everyone knew my father, Richard Lawson, as a billionaire investor. Newspapers called him a financial genius. Television hosts described him as a business icon. But at home, he was simply Dad. Unlike what people imagined, he never spoiled me with luxury cars or unlimited spending. Instead, every Friday evening he gave me lessons money couldn't buy. One Friday, he placed 2 empty jars on the dining table. One was labeled, "Your money." The other was labeled, "Other people's money." "Which one do you think builds empires?" he asked. "My own money," I answered confidently. He smiled. That's what almost everyone believes. The next morning he took me downtown. Instead of visiting one of his skyscrapers, we stopped at a small bakery owned by an elderly woman named Mrs. Carter. She had incredible bread. The problem: her oven kept breaking down. Customers loved her product, but she couldn't bake enough. Dad asked her one question. "If someone bought you a new industrial oven today, could you double your sales?" She nodded immediately. Without a doubt. On the drive home I asked, "So are you buying her an oven?" "No." "Why not?" "Because I'm going to help other people buy it." I frowned. "What?" Over the next month, Dad gathered 10 local investors. Each invested $10,000. Together they raised $100,000. Part of the money bought Mrs. Carter the new oven. The rest expanded her bakery. Everyone signed legal agreements. Mrs. Carter kept ownership. The investors received a share of future profits. Everyone benefited. I was confused. "You didn't spend your own money?" Dad laughed. "Exactly. People think billionaires are rich because they have billions." He shook his head. "No. They become billionaires because they know how to connect people who have money with opportunities that create more money." He paused. "The secret isn't taking money. It's creating value people willingly invest in." Months later, the bakery tripled its production. Mrs. Carter hired 12 new employees. The investors earned steady returns. The neighborhood gained jobs. The bakery expanded into 2 more locations. Nobody lost. Everybody won. That day, I began seeing money differently. But I made a terrible mistake. At 18, I believed I had mastered Dad's lesson. I found a flashy real estate project online. The promoter promised unbelievable returns. I convinced friends and relatives to invest. I didn't research anything. I only saw dollar signs. 3 months later, the company disappeared. Every penny was gone. My phone never stopped ringing. Friends cried. Family members were furious. Some had invested their life savings because they trusted me. I had confused raising money with deserving trust. I expected my father to rescue me. Instead, he quietly asked, "What did you actually build?" I stared at the floor. "Nothing." "What value did you create?" Silence. "Were you solving a problem?" I couldn't answer. Then he spoke the hardest words I'd ever heard. "You borrowed people's trust before earning it." That sentence crushed me. For weeks I couldn't sleep. The guilt was unbearable. I considered giving up on business forever. But Dad wouldn't let me quit. "Failure isn't your identity," he said. "It's your tuition." The next year became the hardest of my life. I took 2 jobs. Sold my expensive watch. Sold my gaming computer. Cancelled vacations. Every extra dollar went toward repaying those who had trusted me. It took almost 4 years. Some people forgave me immediately. Others never did. I understood why. Trust takes years to build and seconds to destroy. One evening, Dad handed me a notebook. Inside was a single sentence. Before asking for investment, ask yourself, what problem am I solving? That became my new role. Years later, I discovered a small company developing affordable solar-powered irrigation systems for struggling farmers. The technology worked. The founders were brilliant. They lacked funding. Instead of chasing wealthy investors with promises of quick profits, I spent 6 months understanding the business. I visited farms, interviewed customers, calculated risks, found weaknesses, improved the business plan. Only then did I approach investors. I told them every possible risk before mentioning the rewards. Some walked away. Others appreciated the honesty. 20 investors joined voluntarily. Together they funded the company. Within 5 years, thousands of farmers increased their harvest. Food production rose. The investors earned strong returns. The company expanded across several regions. The founders remained in control. Everyone benefited. This time, I finally understood my father's lesson. One sunset we stood on the balcony overlooking the city. I asked him, "So using other people's money isn't really about money, is it?" He smiled proudly. "No. It's about responsibility." He continued, "When you use your own money, only you suffer if you're wrong. When you use other people's money, their dreams are in your hands." Years later, after my father retired, reporters often asked me the secret behind our family's success. They expected me to reveal some complicated investment strategy. Instead, I always answered with the same words. Billionaires don't become wealthy by spending other people's money. They become wealthy by earning other people's trust, creating real value, managing risk wisely, and making sure everyone has a chance to succeed. Because money follows trust. Trust follows integrity. And integrity is the one investment whose value never crashes. The greatest wealth isn't built by taking from others. It's built by creating opportunities where everyone can grow together.